This meeting is being recorded.
What is up, guys? Blacklisted Voice, episode 64. We are here with recently, man, I'm blanking on the word. Macy Tarlton recently just tried out for USA Bobsled, made the team. Congratulations, Macy.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How you doing?
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Living in the Olympic Training Center, living my dream day in and day out. And yeah, it's incredible to be here and represent the United States. And so it's great.
Yeah, for sure. Check that off the bucket list, I guess.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Childhood dream list.
Right. So, we go back to was it 2016 that you started with me coaching?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, yep. And then we competed together in 2017.
Yep.
And then you kind of went off and started doing some more man, you were all over the place for a little bit there, traveling all over, competing in different sports.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about kind of just some of your background and some of your, I guess, sports experiences here.
Sure. So I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, and grew up kind of did a little bit of ballerina and soccer, just like the normal elementary kid stuff, but really liked gymnastics. And so competed in gymnastics for a while. And then I think I tried swim kind of as like some conditioning for gymnastics, and then liked being in the water all the time. That was just what you did as like a, 8-year-old in the South. So go to the pool for like 10 hours. So I like loved the pool, but wasn't necessarily a great swimmer, but was like doing gymnastics and swim and really just wanted to compete and swim. So competed in gymnastics and then got right into swim and was in the pool for like most of my, I guess, competing years as like in elementary, middle school, and then a couple years in high school. So it was, back in 2016 when I was kind of retiring as a swimmer and was working through some like eating disorder stuff around sport and just trying to be healthier and be stronger. And got asked to just go to a CrossFit gym and try it out. And I really liked it, but I didn't want to just do the class workouts. And so somebody I was working for at the time had mentioned, well, there's this place called Training Think Tank. They've got really great coaches. And so you had to apply to be an athlete there. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm just learning CrossFit. They're not going to take me. I was bottom of the bucket list. And sure enough, they did not take me. It took a long time. So in the meanwhile, I was like trying to pop into every different type of gym and learn double wonders and learn how to kip on my own. And so had like good body awareness with the gymnastics and some aerobic capacity from swim, but just had zero skills. And so I think I would write to Training Think Tank like probably once a month. Hey, like, this is me again. I'm super dedicated, really want to be on your team. Like, even if it's not even a coach here, I just want to, I don't know. I was just begging them. So finally I got a reply and was like, yeah, Kyle Spears is, here's his expertise, and saw that you had been to the games and had worked with Max for a long time. And so was really excited and just privileged that I was able to get a coach finally, but worked so hard for it. We worked right away, and it was just a lot of skill-based stuff at first and not a lot of crappy throw up workouts. It was like, no, I just really need to build you. And I guess I wasn't expecting that. I just thought because of the way you see people in the class workouts just lying on the floor dying that would be more of that, but it was very moldable to whatever that I guess your style of training you said to do. I was just like all in, like whatever Kyle said to do I would do. So I had great success within that year. Of course, from 2016 we did some online qualifiers, and there was kind of potentially an opening for a female to be on this regionals team. And just being like the rookie, I guess it was not necessarily the goal. I actually still have that like list from when we first did our first consult, and you're like, what are your athletic goals? And I was like, I just really want to compete at like a high level, like be an elite athlete, compete at a high level. You're like, but what does elite mean to you, Macy? Like, what does that mean? I was like, I don't know. There's just like Wadapalooza thing. Like, I don't even know too much about regionals. I would like do CrossFit, like be healthy, beat my eating disorder, and be a badass. And we did it in like a year, less than a year. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
qualified for regionals and we did very good. I mean, we were
Hmm.
very close to the CrossFit Games, just like at our fingertips. At like one point, it was like 1 point away. And
Yeah.
so, we just like from there, it was like, wow, well, like there's potential here and to like potentially go to the games and something that I
Hmm.
didn't even fathom yet. So we we got to work together on the floor as like athlete and coach and then as teammates.
Hmm.
So there was just this great dynamic of like when your coach is able to see you in all stress fields of day in and day out, and then just know from even no CrossFit background coming in kind of just like as a floppy swimmer and fairly fit gymnast that didn't really have any barbell or movement patterns that like in that competitive CrossFit world had. And we like you totally made it happen in a short period of time. And so
It was,
when
yeah.
like fast forward to now when it was like getting ready to potentially try out for the US bobsled team, I was like, well, if anybody knows me the best, it's Kyle Spears. And I was able to get back and to work with you, and we prepped for this point, and we obviously were able to come in as a bobsled rookie. And I actually made the team, and then I made the national team, which I can talk about in a minute. But yeah, it's just like, wow, when you work so hard and you put your mind to something and you put yourself with the right people and with the right coaches and surround yourself with those types of people that believe in you and uplift you and have the systems in place. They're not going to just beat the crap out of you and you're going
Hmm.
to be hurt for like 5 or 10 years from now. It's just really encouraging that I still feel super healthy, like even after all the years of gymnastics, all the years of CrossFit. I haven't really had any major injuries or super bad
Hmm.
flare-ups with physique stuff or physical elements, because I feel like we've just done a good job of dialing it back when we needed to and ramping it up when we needed to. And so it's unfortunate that some days you're just like, I really need to go hard, and it's like, no, we don't, and that's okay. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you taught
yeah.
me day one, it's like chill out. Not every day needs to be 1000% effort.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember doing our interview, like our initial consult. I was like, man, I have no idea if this girl's bought in or not, but she's starting up, so we'll see.
Yeah,
And then you were like super bought in. And our goal was just to, because you were so young, like you were 19 at the time,
yeah,
which at that point in CrossFit was very young for a competitive CrossFitter. Now you have like all these teen athletes that have been
yeah.
doing or
17 was
are
for
starting
sure.
up.
I think it was
So our
19.
Yeah, yeah. So our goal was just slow build you, and then it ended up happening, or just like man, that year was so much fun on team, and like sometimes things with team, the most fun teams are the ones that just kind of like happen, and that's like kind of what it was. Is like Mike and Randy had moved down at almost the same time as you started up, and you're kind of like sitting there like thinking like, I mean, they're really good, like we still need a couple more people, like another guy and like maybe two more girls. And then
Sure.
Chastity moved there, and we're like, well, now all we need is one more girl. And then Macy's like killing it in the gym. We're like, oh, okay, now we just need a guy. And then it was like probably one of the most fun. That was one of the most fun years of CrossFit I've definitely had. It was like a
Oh,
great group of people, and
oh,
just to watch you like, because it wasn't until like right around January that we made that decision to like get you on the team. So you had basically like a 5 month build up to be, I mean, we were pretty much, I mean, we were one spot out. So it's like you were basically competing at a very close to a games level. So to watch that happen was a lot of fun to see. So
yeah, that's so cool. I just still have so many memories of that. Yeah, it's amazing. Some of the best athletic
yeah,
moments. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
yeah, yeah. So after regionals, I think you qualified for a couple more competitions. You made a little bit of a coaching change too, and then I think you ended up moving out to Arizona as well, right?
Yeah, I did. I signed with OPEX, and there was nothing against training think tank or the South. I think I just spent my whole life in Georgia and wanted change and wanted to just yeah potentially go out there. And in the back of my head, I was like, I really don't know if I want to continue competing in CrossFit. It was great that we had that much success, but like the
Mhm.
long haired childhood goal and dream was to be on an Olympic team or to make Team USA.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't even
Can you,
vocalize that at that point, but
can you talk about that a little bit more? Can we dive into that a little bit?
what's that?
Just the whole, like, how did you like get this dream to become like go to the Olympics and be on an Olympic team?
Sure. Well, I was homeschooled at a young age because I had ADD and ADHD and was going to be held back a grade. So felt kind of like this athletic failure that I couldn't like pass first grade. And my parents, who worked very successful medical jobs, were going to have to hire a nanny and figure out how to get their daughter that couldn't pass first grade like through school or something. So that's what we did. I was homeschooled, and I remember waking up at like 7 a.m. and trying to get all my lessons done because we'd have like a little roster and the nanny would go
Mhm.
through, and you just like kind of had to self teach some stuff, but it was very like self driven, self motivated, and knew that like I had to do my work. And then when I could finish all my work, I had the rest of my day. So I wanted to, yeah, play sport or do art and do other things and not school. So I'd wake up really early, knock all that out. And we had this really old TV. It only got like two channels on it. So I remember watching like Rachel Ray and the Olympics. And
Yeah.
I just remember watching like every sport. It would be like alpine skiing and I don't know, snowboarding, all of the sports, right? And just like, wow, that would be so cool. Like, there's so many different disciplines. And I remember like reading the list over and over again of all the summer
Mhm.
sports and all the winter sports. And like, oh, I really hope that like maybe one day I could pick one of those disciplines and potentially compete. And it wasn't even
Mhm.
like I was set on I had to be a gymnast, I had to be a swimmer. I was just really interested in like all of them, and I enjoyed watching all of them. And so from, yeah, like young age in first grade when I was like homeschooled, I remember just watching all the Olympics and kind of just daydreaming about the idea of like what it would be like being there. So, didn't
Mhm.
like manifest it or really even think that I could do it until like I was 19, and I realized that in 5 months like you could be almost potentially like, I mean, like CrossFit games ready. We're almost there. And like athletically there's potential. Like some people are just all grit and drive and not a whole lot of like physical, and I knew that like I had the grit and the drive and that I had proven myself physically as well. So
Mhm.
after realizing that, I was like, well, I like this idea of weightlifting. So I went out to Arizona to sign with OPEX and do some fitness, right? It wasn't
Mhm.
like CrossFit, it wasn't weightlifting, it was just like fitness. Let me just like see what I'm interested in, see what I'm good at, build my fitness up and see what happens from there.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was in I think 2018, 20, yeah, like 2018. I moved out
Yeah.
to Arizona and didn't have a weightlifting coach, but signed with a like an OPEX coach and worked with them for like 8 or 9 months, and
Mhm.
was getting ready to try to do the Dubai Fitness Championships, and then
Mhm.
did like Wadapalooza and did like the Wadapalooza lift off, or I'd
Mhm.
call it, I don't remember. But long story short, I threw myself like in a local state, Arizona state meet, and it was like the state championships. And I remember going to the weightlifting meet, not having a coach, and just not even knowing like how to properly jump. And I
Mhm.
took like a 15-kilo jump from attempt 2 to 3. And my
Sick.
senior, I was like, yeah, I'm a CrossFitter. Like, we just like throw on the weight. It's an EMA. We just got to jump 20 pounds. Like, this is what we do. And so, yeah, I like jumped 15 kilos. And there was this Team USA coach, Dr. David Brown, who was standing there watching, like helping somebody qualify for American Finals, which is like the big meet in weightlifting that like
Mhm.
everyone wants to go to in the AO series. And he like saw that I took this like 15-kilo jump and was like, crap, like your technique is very bad. But like walked over, just kind of started talking, and like handpicked his athletes. Really didn't have a lot of weightlifters he worked with, but just like was very successful coach and very successful weightlifting coach. And
Mhm.
so it just kind of like rubbed shoulders with the right people at the right time. So at Arizona State championships that year, I like won my weight class, and
Mhm.
it was cool to like, wow, I like won state, and this is like my first weightlifting meet, and I
Yeah.
tried, but like I didn't even have coaching. So yeah, I like fell in love with weightlifting pretty quickly and did that from 2018 up until basically December of like 2021.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually found it super interesting that you ended up liking weightlifting so much? Just from like your personality is like you are very kind of like you like to kind of bounce around with things and try new things and like you're very kind of explorative. But then you found this like this discipline that was like, hey, these are the two things that you're just going to do over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Can you kind of talk about like what your appeal to that was, or?
That's so funny. And I actually never got bored of weightlifting, which is so strange.
Yeah,
I've been to so many different countries. I've lived in a different country. I've lived in like 16 different cities. Like I just love to explore. I love to
yeah,
explore other things. Like I have 5 different jobs, like businesses that I run. I just love to like do all the different things. But I guess weightlifting, it gave me a very finite thing to focus in on. And CrossFit, there was
mm,
so much, and it was great, but it was like
okay,
kind
yeah,
of overwhelming at times. Where it was like I had to be really strong, but I had to be really fast, and I was a good swimmer,
mhm,
and I could do the gymnastic stuff, but like strength wasn't there, and so it's just like I don't want to be mediocre at everything. I want to be really good at one thing, and I was like, well, let
yeah,
me hone in on this one thing. And so that's what I did. And I'm so grateful I did. Oh my gosh. Like, even though like I didn't qualify for like a Pan Am's or an Olympic team in weightlifting, like I did well in like university nationals and like one under 25 university or
mhm,
national championships. Um, it was incredibly satisfying to know like exactly where my push press was, exactly where my jerk was, exactly where my squat was. And there was like a lot of disciplines within weightlifting and like how my body changed, like going from anorexia kind of as a swimmer and then getting like
mhm.
pretty strong and eating like 400 grams of carbs a day as a CrossFitter. Like, this is no, oh my gosh. To then
Yeah,
like my body changed a ton. And I like had a 6-pack for the first time in my life and like had cool shoulder muscles and like just like
yeah,
wise, it felt like, wow, like this is so cool. And like I did this, like this is totally opposite of what I was at like 90 pounds and like just
right, right,
totally different. And to squat like a house, like like front squat 415 for like 10 to a box squat and just like so much weight at like 130 pounds. It was just like, what? So that was really satisfying. And it was like just like proving to myself that like I could be strong, even though I was like really dealing with yeah, like not being strong and not feeling my body in
mhm,
that other realm. But yeah, weightlifting was very fulfilling in that area. And
mhm.
I guess like the power movement too. I'd always been like in gymnastics, I love vault. And swimming, the only thing I like to do in swim was dive off the block, like that, bah, like power. I didn't really like
Yeah,
swimming that much. I'm just like diving and like kind of chilling in the pool.
yeah,
But
yeah,
the power movement, and so then to get power in the Olympic weightlifting, I didn't really care to like deadlift off the ground. Like squatting is fun, but that like pow with a jerk, the pow with a snatch, it was yeah, really fulfilling.
yeah. That's super interesting. So it almost brought some like structure to kind of like the chaos that was like going on around you a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
how many weeks it took to get 5 more pounds on a squat or what exactly I needed to do to hit 100% on snatch by this date. Or we got really into like trying to biohack certain things and just really into like hormone health and how much
Mhm.
protein you eat here. And yeah, just like so many different areas that it was still just really interesting, even though like
Yeah.
pulling or squatting, you're cleaning like every other day. It's like the same thing, but it was fun.
Yeah. So you guys got way, way into the works of like, how do we maximize performance?
Yeah, totally. He had a doctorate degree in human performance and was really, really knowledgeable in, yeah, just like the human performance world. So we actually worked a lot with UFC fighters and in the like MMA world out in Arizona too. So that was cool. Actually got to be like submersed in that community and like try a fight in a ring, but like actually not hit anybody. I was just like being stupid, like, but like learn how to grapple a little bit. And so that was, yeah, it was cool to like bring in the strength to these people that just beat themselves up all day and think they work, and they do, like they work so hard on so many areas,
Yeah.
but you need the strength and you need to do
Hmm.
the non-fun, the glamorous things to like be great at your sport. And that was eye-opening to see how beneficial just weightlifting, like for hockey, for swim, for whatever, CrossFit, like will make you more athletic. Not that
Hmm.
that's the one thing you have to do, but it really did make me extremely athletic, even coming out of CrossFit at a high level. It's like I got
Yeah.
even more athletic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was definitely one thing you could see, like your evolution kind of over your time period that you were at in Arizona, was like just how much more like refined your movement patterns had. And like it was cool too, because uh like just kind of watching from afar, like a lot of what he was doing with you is pretty I would say untraditional in the weightlifting world. But at the same time, like I think that played into like what you needed for weightlifting too, and kind of keep
Oh
you a
yeah.
little bit more
We were doing
engaged.
CrossFit WODs. I was like, I need a burner
Yeah.
today. And he was like, what? And so yeah, he definitely helped. Yeah, like I was weightlifting, but I would do like for the first 6 months we worked together, I think I had 2 or 3 little like metcons. But he wouldn't call them metcons, he'd call it auxiliary work.
Yeah.
Like GHD raisers into pull-ups, into like a farmer's carry, into like kipping pull-ups, and then handstand walk, and then start over. And it'd be like 4 rounds, not for time, but for quality.
For quality. Yeah. That's sweet.
That's how he'd
That's
write
sweet.
my stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, you can almost always take the CrossFitter away from CrossFit, but they're still gonna just find a way to do something like it.
Well, yeah, even at the Olympic Training Center, like we'll be warming up for bobsled stuff, and I flip upside down. I'm doing like the 10-meter handstand sprint, like walk for time, and they're all like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like I just gotta get the jitters out, like the CrossFit
Yeah,
jitters.
just got to get the jitters out.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure, for sure. Yeah, so after Arizona, man, it was right around like COVID time that you ended up coming back to Georgia, right? I guess
Yeah,
like maybe a
I
little bit
lived in
after.
Arizona and then I moved to Pennsylvania and worked with Dane Miller.
Hmm.
And I actually was interested in shot put a little bit. So he had really great shot putters and really great weightlifters. And I was, yeah, just ready to kind of move and wanted to explore a different state. And um, Dr. Dave Brown was like focusing more on like still in weightlifting, but the shift was focusing, and so we just kind of both mutually agreed that like, hey, like let me write a letter to Dane. Like my coach literally wrote to Dane because that's always a thing. You're like, why is this athlete like keep bouncing around? And it was never that way. It was always like,
Yeah.
all right, it's mutual here. And so, yeah, my coach wrote to Dane and was like, yeah, I'm willing to like look into this and see if this is a good fit. And so came out for like a month just to try it out and see if I could live there and work with him. And we were a great fit. And so, yeah, I worked out there for about a year and a half
Mhm.
with, yeah, some incredible human beings and like discus throws and shot putters and Olympic wrestler and really incredible weightlifters too. So it was like a different atmosphere for sure. And yeah, I got really strong still. And but again, it
Mhm.
was like, well, I'm seeing probability of like the likelihood of making an Olympic team and like worked so hard. And you just kind of know, like I felt like I never felt like I reached my potential or cap, but what it
Mhm.
was doing on my body was like the knee tendonitis. And I don't know, I was like needing some time off, I guess, because I went
Mhm.
so hard so quickly because I was like,
Mhm.
I found my thing. Like, this is what we're going to do. So after living in PA and like going all in still, I was like, well, this is when COVID hit. Like, no competitions were going on. And
Mhm.
I really like couldn't compete. And so there was just like the itch to compete and still do something. So I was like, well, I really don't like living out here in PA. Like, sorry, PA people, but like I was out in the boonies in this like Amish town. There's like nothing to do. The city was shut down. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Like, this is not cool. So like I'm gonna come home. I'm gonna like do a WOD. I'm gonna lift weight. I want to do a thruster. I want to do kipping ring freaking muscle up. I don't know, just like all the things. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I came back to Georgia and was able to get like wisdom teeth surgery done and like all these little like minor things taken care of because like now we couldn't. We're always like competing and prepping for something. So I had
Right.
a lot of time under anesthesia and under like recovery from like all these little minor things to think about like, all right, is weightlifting what I'm like excited about and fulfilled in, and was still
Mhm.
like finishing school and got my degree and was working, and so knew like that I didn't need to just like retire fully because I wanted to still compete, and kind of had wrote on a vision board that I was like obsessed with reaching like my athletic potential, and it didn't have
Mhm.
to be in one sport. And so came back to Georgia, And by like December of 2021,
Mhm.
I remembered back in 2019 that my coach, Dr. David Brown, had gotten like an email, and I think I had asked him about it at one point. I was like, what's this bobsled thing? Because he did the testing for transitional Olympic athletes and would test like Olympic sprinters to see if they could potentially transfer into another sport based off of like
Mhm.
certain like metrics,
Mhm.
and did that testing on me to see if it would be like a good bobsled fit. And we did a couple different things, but I wasn't interested in switching at the time. It was more like this opportunity approached with, I think it was an email that my coach got that had said something like, hey, we're interested in scouting this, we're looking for a female on the bobsled team. And I knew like Colleen Foch and a couple other girls had pursued bobsled after CrossFit, and I was like,
Mhm.
that's kind of cool. And but I was smaller. I was like 130 pounds and 5'4".
Yeah.
Wasn't necessarily like the ideal athlete for bobsled. And so they kind of saw that, and after he sent in like my metrics, it was like, all right, well, like she can come try like a rookie camp or something if she's interested, but like we see that blah blah blah. And so just didn't entertain it. But come fast forward to like December 2021, I was like, well, I remember it was like one time like this bobsled thing came up. And so I called up, I got connected with an Olympic sprint coach out here in Georgia, Dominic from Life
Mhm.
University, and never ran over like 400 meters for time, like in CrossFit. And then ran
Yeah.
like a 5K for like Thanksgiving, like the family 5K you do, but that's about it. And I was
Yeah.
like, I want to sprint and teach me how to sprint. So I signed with him, and we worked like 5 or 6 days in person. I had like
Yeah.
the worst knee, ankle, foot pain of my life for like a few months, just like pounding and changing up the movement pattern. And it was great though. Like Dominic, like yeah, so I called him up and asked him to help me prep for a combine test for bobsled. And so there was
Mhm.
a series of like interviews and combine tests that you had to do online and submit videos, kind of like the CrossFit qualifiers. And then if you were like worthy, you got an invite to come to a rookie camp.
Mhm.
So that's when I called you up like in December. I was like, look, I need to sprint, but on the combine test, like we've got to do a runner max clean, we've got to do a runner max
Mhm.
squat, we've got a shot put or like shot toss, we've got to jump, we've got to, these like 7 or 8 elements, I think it was. And so obviously had like the clean and the squat down, but did like there was 4 runs that I was like,
Yeah.
and they were like Olympic caliber run times. Like there's a
Yeah.
standard, right, with like point wise, and if you didn't score a
Yeah.
certain amount of points, you weren't asked to come to rookie camp. So I was like, oh gosh, there's a lot of work to do. Like I can't just lift 2 heavy things and call it good. Like I have to be well rounded. And so we worked
Right.
our tail off and just like trying to balance now like sprinting 6 days a week, 5 days a week with like heavy lifting, and
Mhm.
backing off like the 14 sessions of weightlifting that I used to do to just like 2 or 3 and then maybe 4 or 5. And so it was a lot of communication between the two of you guys with just figuring out that plan and how we
Yep.
like maximize energy and energy systems and stuff. But yeah, so back to running. I remember we like timed our first 100 and I ran like a 15.5. Just like gangly, like, oh my gosh. And Dominic was like, just told me the whole time, like, these times are too fast. Like, Macy, this, I don't know how you're going to get 100 points or even like 80 points, because like 80,
Yeah.
there was like a hundredth of a second that like meant 5 or 10 more points, like on the comp.
Right. Right.
It was just like, it's not like you run, 11 and then 12 seconds is 90 points, but 11 seconds is 100 points. So it was like so
Mhm.
incremental, very, very small jumps. And so, oh my gosh, but I just like wrote all the times everywhere, like on my bathroom mirror, in my shower, like in my car, everywhere. These times were just all over, and I knew like what I had to hit. But my coach
Mhm.
would never tell me what I would run. It was so frustrating because I'd want to know
Oh.
like what's my 40 at, what's my 30 at, and he's just like, oh, like I forgot. For years, or for not years, for months, I just thought like he didn't have a stopwatch. He had a stopwatch the whole time. He just like hid it from me.
That's hilarious.
I worked my tail off, man. We would do like plyos, like this
Yeah.
like up a gravel mountain into like hill sprints, and just like Oh, and like I thought CrossFit sucked, but like that sprint conditioning, he's out there with like Olympic pros and then the whole like Life University track team. And here's this like big Olympic weightlifter that's like, how about you squat, girl? Like you got some thighs on you. Like how do you run? Like that fast, that big legs. And yeah, it was funny, but Dominic was great. And so as we kept getting closer, I was like getting more frustrated at him that he wouldn't tell me where my time was
Right.
at. But he would just constantly tell me like, oh, like Macy, this is gonna be tough. Like I think you just need to like don't expect to score 100 points on this. Let's aim for like 90 or 80 or whatever. And that's even a stretch. Like and I knew he was being serious with me. I was like, no, I want to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Like, not harder. I was working as hard as I could, but in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm gonna give it everything a day. And so yeah, he man kicked my butt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like calling you sometimes, and there was like one moment I just like I broke down on the track. I was like just beat to death, and I called you. I was like crying. I was so upset. I was like, can't do this. Like, not can't, but it was just how am I even gonna go lift later? This is just I feel like this is an impossible goal to reach, and I'm just like not built for running. How am I gonna do bobsled? And you just like reeled it in. We had this like 45-minute conversation of just basically crying my face off, and you're just like, get it together. You got it. You're gonna do this. You're gonna be fine. And yeah, so we did the digital combine test, which was there was no standard. I didn't know what the standard was for like the digital combine test. So we submitted scores, and we just like hope that they'd like invite to a rookie camp. And so sure enough, I was able to get an invitation to rookie camp. And so I think there was like 12 or 15 people that came out to rookie camp. And I didn't know this at the time, but it was like a week worth of almost like military, like we're doing bobsled all day long. And then like, oh, you're going to work out. You think in your head, you're going to like work out and like, you know, show everyone up in the weight room. Like you had no energy to do anything after rookie camp. Like every day was like just bobsled, 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 which is great. Had to learn how to do it. And by the last day, they put us in a little competition. It was like, all right, whoever can push the fastest now on ice with a metal bobsled skeleton that weighs as much as the bobsled, whoever pushes the fastest will see what's next. There was no like, we'll ask you to come back if you get first or whatever. So we had no idea. And I was able to win my rookie camp. And then a week later, an invitation not only to come back, but to live in the Olympic Training Center. So I got an invitation to like their national push championships, and then was asked to, if I wanted to, I could live up here and train in the Olympic Training Center and continue bobsledding like every day and practice. They have like a dry land push track where there's like a track that goes down. You can practice on this metal thing, or then you can go to this thing called an ice house, and we have like a 400-meter track. The bobsled goes down on ice that they prep every day. So it simulates like what a bobsled push athlete would do.
Yeah.
What I'm training for is to be a brake woman, a bobsled pusher. And yeah, it was like incredibly quick how that happened. And then so prepped for nationals like in 2-week turnaround. I think it was like nationals was in the next 2 weeks. And I was competing against all these other people who had been to the Olympic Games, who had just got off the Olympic Games, the people that were like so close to it but didn't make it, and then all these other athletes that had been doing it for 5+ years or 2 or 3 years, right, that were still like itching for that spot to be one named on Team USA or to be named on the national team. And there's a couple different circuits. So there's like the World Cup circuit that the national team gets to go on, and then there's a North American Cup that like Team USA goes on with the non-national team. So it's like national team and then Team USA bobsledders. So regardless, I was like really excited to try to just push it nationals and like make Team USA. That was like obviously a goal since I was little.
Right.
So come nationals, we had to do the day before we had our national push championships. They put us through that combine where it was like the shot, the squat, the runs. And you knew exactly like point wise how you'd stack up against everybody. And it was great. It was so tight. Like all the times were, ooh, man, like and I think I have to look at the sheet again, but I think I scored 4th overall in the combine with like, I scored like an 80 on one run, 85 on one, 75 on one, and then was able to max my lifts and then do fairly good on my jump and toss. So that was just so refreshing to feel like, oh, you ran fast enough to like be at the top of the combine test. Now like let's see what we can do on the ice, because it doesn't matter how fit you are really. If you can't push the bobsled well and fast, you're not going to be asked to come back. So you see a lot of those people that like ex-NFL or Olympic sprinters that come and try out, or great CrossFit athletes that have all the right physical capabilities, but there is an art and there's a technique, and it takes a lot of power to push the bobsled well. And so we had like really not a whole lot of coaching those 2 weeks leading up to nationals. The coaches had to fly home and take care of other things, and so the prep was just like overwhelming. You're like, you don't want to get worse, you want to get better, but it's like every day you're out there, you're like, am I doing this right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, nationals rolled around and my parents flew in from Georgia, and I just felt like so much support. Like all these people in the community that I met like came to watch. And so it's just regardless of what happened, I was just so proud of like to make it to this point. I'm like, I'm a resident at the Olympic Training Center. Like how cool is that? Like, I made it this far. And so yeah, we came to nationals and we got to do single pushes the first day. So they just like raw dog it, like go push out that 170 kilo sled. How fast can you go? And they time you in a 15 meter increment, and then it's like a 60 meter. So they take your first time and then your second time, and then your velocity will like how fast you're able to get the sled moving. And so that was interesting. Like it wasn't just about how fast is your 60. There was like a couple different things they looked at, like how's your initial power push off, and then how's your acceleration, and how well can you keep the sled moving. And then the next day of the competition was combination. So as a bobsled brake woman or pusher, I'm always in the back, and then there's a pilot in front of me who would hop in first and get set to like grab the rings to get ready to steer, while I'm pushing the girl a couple more strides to get her over into like the bobsled official run so they could start the race. And so the bobsled pushers have to be like faster than the pilot and be able to push them well. And 100th gained at the top is like 300ths at the bottom. And in the bobsled races, I mean, it's like fractions of a second that
It's
matter.
so tight. Yeah.
So it's really important to have a really strong push off the start. That's why you see people like dedicate their whole life to just be like powerful and strong for the pushing. And then there's another element of how well your sled is made, and bobsleds are very expensive, and then ice conditions and how well the driver can do. So there's a lot of cool things about bobsled, and it's not just lift 80 kilos over your head successfully.
Yeah.
So come nationals, there's like basically a 4-day competition. It was like combine, and then the single pushes, and then 2 days of combination pushes, like combo pushes with pilots. And so they looked at like how well you could do with other people, because as a bobsled brake woman, I'm never going to just push by myself. So if I can't time with another girl well, it's not going to matter in the sport. And so I think it was like 2 weeks later after nationals, we had this group Zoom call, and I was named to the national team, and it was like tied for like 4th or 5th, and they only named 5 to the national team, which goes on World Cup and who they select for the Olympic team. But obviously this is year 1, there's 3 more to go. But that was just like, oh wow, that's incredible. I know there's like so much work to do, and there's still so much like potential to gain, and I know that this is exactly where I want to be at this time in my life. And it's just so rewarding to have like all the coaches and the support, and just like to share that with other people too that like have been alongside and watched it.
For sure. Yeah. I think from me looking in, like one of the big things that I kind of took away from this is how much the statement, like it takes a village, like truly applies to an athlete like achieving their goal. And like you have had so much help over the years to get you to this point, and it's been super awesome to watch.
Yeah, it has. I feel like I definitely generated a lot of that, and it's easy to just go like, I expect this, or like I have to have this, but like you have to put yourself out there and be willing to make those calls to those, intimidating coaches, or be like, Kyle, we hadn't worked together in like 4 or 5 years, and I don't even know if you're going to be okay with like having me come back, but can we work together? And so, yeah, you have to, and like, I think I was talking to somebody the other day. I was like, I think I spent like $1,500 at one point a month just on like my coaching for
Yeah.
like CrossFit and weightlifting. It's just like, holy crap, that was like the most expensive thing, but that was like the main thing. And I was like, I need
Right. Right.
habits and certain things, and just I wanted that so bad that I was willing to sacrifice and like monetarily like budget for that and pay whatever it took to make sure that,
Mhm.
like, yeah, we could get there. So
Yeah. Yeah. It worked out.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I kind of want to ask you here is, and hopefully this will help kind of like some other up and coming athletes, or some athletes who are like kind of trying to break a bubble, or whatever it might be. But what do you feel are like kind of the three maybe biggest things that helped you get to this state in your, or stage in your career, or like maybe the three biggest like mindset things that you've kind of like developed to get to this point?
That's a really good point. I think as a CrossFitter, we like talked a lot about like Headspace was becoming like an up and coming app, and everyone's
Hmm.
like, you got to have this like mental toughness. And so
Hmm.
I think thinking about like what are the three most important things. I journal a ton. Like if there's stuff on my mind, or I need to like plan out whatever it is I have to execute for the practice, or a problem I have to solve that I know it's like a weakness there, I have to just like journal it out. And I have like vision boards and like these huge whiteboards I like put all over my wall. They're full of like goals and steps I need to take. And I don't know, I don't think anyone has to be that analytical or like detailed, but for me as like an artist, I just had to see it on paper. And if it was in my head, it did no good. Like it had to be on paper so I could like attack it. So that was
Yeah.
step one for me. So then I could even communicate to my coach, like, here's a problem that I feel like I'm having that you might not even realize. Like, what can we do about it?
Hmm.
So, like, journaling, putting things on paper, and then um, a ton of sleep. When I was a CrossFitter, I had insomnia bad. And I was like,
Real
working
bad.
eating disorder. I would sleep like 2 or 3 hours a night, and just like pretty high strung. And we got that under wraps like pretty good, and like with the help of you and like sleep doctors, and just
Yeah.
like I was sleepwalking. I was doing this crazy thing. I was just like, oh man, sleep is like the one thing, and I just could not sleep, but I was still performing at a high level, but like 3 or 4 hours and under my belt.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
crazy.
like, terrible
I was
insomnia.
like, that was like another reason why we started off so slow. I was like, this girl sleeps like 3 hours a night. She's gonna be broken in like 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, I was able to kind of get a good rhythm. And I think you taught me the word of like sleep hygiene and what that
Hmm.
meant, and having this like, yeah, a very calming routine, and it has to like be structured. And I like that structure, and that like then became like a good thing because I had so many interests and my brain would just go. And so we got
Hmm.
sleep under wrap. And so I would say sleep. Now I sleep like 9 hours almost every night. That's like kind of the
Such a change.
baseline. Such a change. Like I was a terrible sleeper. I was like, oh no, I don't know how those people sleep like 8 hours a night. That's just not me. I'm not built for
Yeah. I was like, what?
that. Yeah. And then I would say like, oh man, I just like laughter, not taking it too seriously. And I think in weightlifting, I got a little too serious, and I was not really liking the person I was becoming, with
Mhm.
how like strict I was being on myself, and how strict I was being with just like even hanging out with people or doing fun social things. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but yeah, just like even in CrossFit, I felt like we all just had this like pact, and it was just fun and light, and just like, yeah, we have like huge expectations of ourselves, but at the end of the day, like we all just love each other, and it's a big team, and like let's just have fun,
Yep.
like enjoy life, and like laugh with people, and like make other people happy. And so
Yeah.
I realized like that was just kind of a huge part of my athletic successes, is like being more bubbly and happy, and just like myself helped me flourish in like the grind and then the sucky like serious moments of training.
Yeah. Yeah. It allows you to kind of find the fun in the journey a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, those are those are some pretty like crucial components to like becoming successful for sure. For the visualization and just like one of the cool things is like the extreme that you take the visualization. Like with a lot of my athletes, I always kind of preach like, hey, you know, week leading up or whatever it is, like just start running through those workouts in your head. And maybe it's a little bit different for CrossFit because it is so like constantly varied and like you're not like, hey, I have this one competition to like go compete at. But you're like just kind of running through the workouts, visualizing the workouts, but like you have taken that to like almost a whole nother level. And like, you're like, I live this visualization. Like every single day, I'm like, I got reminders of, hey, these are the times that I need to get. And this is me running this time. And, you know, like visualization is a huge underutilized like tool in the sport. And so like, it's cool to see that even taken a step further with what you've done. And like, hopefully that's something that people can kind of garner from this is like, is your dedication to that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love it. That's so true. And yeah, just as an artist and thinking creative and wanting to put things out of my imagination, like in front of me. Yeah, I mean, like there's this huge piece of paper I found like in a church when I first moved up here. And
Mm.
it was like the size of a tabletop. And I just word vomited like everything I knew about bobsled on this paper and like cues that I knew I wasn't doing right and people that I wanted to beat and like times that I needed to hit. And I just like carried this like huge piece of paper everywhere with me. I would like put it in my car and then I'd like put it in my room. And I lived in so many different spots here at first before I was like asked to live in the Olympic Training Center, and would just look at that. And yeah, like you said, like I'd set alarms to just like, all right, it's 8:30, it's time to like wind down and think about this. Or yeah, like log food and think about like even with Tony and some like hypnotherapy that I worked, it's like when we log our food, I was taught like how can you think about how this food is nourishing your body and not just that food is fuel and it's like, oh, this corn tastes good, like this chicken's great, but like how is that going to help like the next rep of what you're about to go do?
Yeah.
And like turning that digestion into like a visualization and like all these weird
Yeah. Yeah.
like
That's like,
years. Yeah.
yeah, that's actually a pretty awesome way to think about it, because that's like when I was in the military, we were taught like, hey, food's a tool, but you don't like get any more information on that. You're just like, well, I know that if I eat this, I can go perform that, so I'm just gonna eat this. And obviously, it's a little bit different as a guy.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of like concept of like, hey, I can actually run through this and like put it towards like, hey, this is my next rep in my squad, or this is my next rep on the bobsled track. Like that's a pretty, like, bring it back again to visualization, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I, you know, a lot of this is kind of like outside looking in, but you know, when you were out in Arizona, like it definitely looked like you were having a lot of fun, and that was probably where you were most successful with weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we were competing as a team in CrossFit, like that was kind of where you had some of the most success in CrossFit. And what I say about those two kind of things is they were just good environments for you, where everyone was like very accepting of you and like very accepting of your personality. You're a very outgoing individual. And it didn't seem like, and this is not a knock against anything that was like going on in PA, but like it just didn't seem like that was the same atmosphere that you had there. Like, I think one of the big knocks against weightlifting is just like you're kind of in your corner doing your own thing, and that's like it. And that's kind of what it seemed like from afar in
Yeah,
PA.
for sure.
Um, and I don't know if there's truth to that statement or what your thoughts are on that, or
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely truth to that. And kind of came in as like the new girl, and there were people that like had already lived in PA their whole life and were already really great and worked with Dane like their whole life, their whole career. And so Dane
yeah,
was an excellent coach and always gave so much attention to detail and
totally.
like also want to know like hormonally how things were just to like
Yeah,
balance
yeah,
a lot of the like I'm not even going to tell you the weight you're going to hit today. I'm going to watch you warm up and then we're going to go from
yeah,
there. And that's
yeah,
how we like lifted most of the time. Generally, we had like a plan.
yeah.
And so, but yeah, I think part of it was too like I self isolated a tiny bit just because like COVID was
Mhm.
weird for me, just being that bubbly person and felt
Yeah,
I caused a little bit of that like shutdown personality wise, and didn't put my
Yeah.
because I needed to be serious and like get this together. But yeah, it's been a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. And like there's no, every environment's so different and every environment like breeds its own success, right? And like but it's just so important that you're in the right environment for you, and not every environment works super well for each individual. So,
Yeah.
but seems like you're in a good one up there. So
Yeah, it's great. I mean, the like staff here, the dietitian that I work with now, and the like kitchen staff. We have a couple chefs that are here, and oh my gosh, everyone just we're back to masks and some COVID stuff up here, but even that, it just
okay.
feels like whatever. I mean, it's just like we got this, like we've done this, we're all good. And so even though you can't see everyone smile right now, it's still just a joy. And yeah, the atmosphere is really great. And Bob's that I just have to brag on that it's like feels even happier than CrossFit, like with a family atmosphere.
Yeah.
For the most
Yeah.
part, like there's a little bit of like clickiness or in anything, right? There's gonna be like those
Right.
serious nuts that just don't want anything to do with you. But um yeah, like there is just a great team support, and everyone wants to see you succeed, even if it's somebody that like you're gonna compete against. They're literally like today we were out there pushing on the dry land, and an Olympic bobsledder came over to like help a teammate, and just basically like anything that you need to know, like here's videos of other people, like here's articles you can read, like we're like going against this person that's like who's also trying to like get in their
Yeah.
spot, like who is also a bobsled brakeman. And you're just like, what the heck, that's crazy. It's like you're
Yeah.
willing to like teach me everything that you know, even though I'm trying to come in hot too. So
Yeah.
like yeah, it's like humbling. It makes you want to just be bigger and better as a human being.
Totally. Do you feel like the atmosphere there is like you guys are all kind of like understanding like, hey, we're doing this for the the USA, not necessarily for ourselves, and like we're trying to like put the USA on a platform? Is there some of that there or
Yeah, I think so. I think like everyone generally, like some people are very military too, so they just come in with the understanding of like, if this guy is better in this position, yeah, that sucks, that's gonna hurt, but like put him there, take me out.
Mhm.
And so, or if like somebody gets hurt or somebody resigned, like that things get moved around, and it's like, all right, like what do we need to do? Like who needs to step
Mhm.
up? Like who might not be ready yet, but like let's get them ready. And yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, like, we're gonna go compete on World Cup. That's like trying to earn points for the Olympic Games. So even if like you're not selected for the Olympic Games, like over the next 4 years of like these competitions and like going on World Cup, like it's really just impressive for the US to be able to
Mhm.
go and place top and have top sleds go down and be a part of that journey. So yeah, you want to see your teammates succeed because it like gives you um, just that boost of like, yeah, like USA bobsled is doing incredible, and like we're that. Like even though I didn't touch
Yeah.
the sled yet, like we're that. Like so,
Yeah. 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 That's sweet. That's sweet.
that's like the
Um,
most like hardworking, uh, expensive sport that like you're putting in the run work. Like you're the bobsled brake women are literally carrying their sleds from the truck to the start line. They're like 500-pound sleds, and then you're driving the truck up to the top of the line. You're sanding runners for hours to get them just like super sharp for the ice the night before. You're working on your sled, so it's a ton of work too, not just pushing the bobsled, but you want to, yeah, you want to see your team succeed. And even if you didn't race, you're like, well, I sanded those runners for 4 hours last night, that was me. Like
that was me.
whatever.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So what's kind of next year with bobsledding then?
Next what?
What's sorry, so what's next with bobsledding?
Yeah, so I leave for Whistler, Canada on Monday, Halloween,
Mhm.
and we'll be there until almost the whole month of November. So we're going to compete in a North American Cup, then we're going to compete in a World Cup, and then we're going to
Mhm.
go to Park City and compete in Utah for a World Cup, and then we'll come back here to the United States. And so there's a ton of competitions from now basically until March. And you're
Mhm.
on the road every 2 weeks going to a different place. And so you got to stay fit and healthy and still like squeeze in some lifting and sprinting while you're on the road. And
Mhm.
figure out work remote and stuff, but it's like a great, crazy journey and I'm all about it.
Yeah. It's gonna be sweet. Well, yeah. So how would people follow you on that journey? Do you have
Sure.
like an
Instagram,
Instagram
I'm
or?
most active on. So it's just my first and middle name, which in the South is kind of like your full name. So Macy Lynn, MacyLynn, no E. That's just like I actually made that Instagram like when Instagram first came. And when you can like just use your name and not have to put any
Yeah.
numbers or hashtags, I'm like, I'm so grateful. I just use like the most simple thing. It's literally my name. And like no one else had it at the time. And now
Yeah.
like if I deactivated my account, it's all over. Like I'd have to be
Yeah.
like Lynn 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 or something.
Yeah. The 1 millionth Macy Lynn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
But yeah, Instagram is great. And so yeah, I actually have a little fundraising store. I have some merchandise I put up that like anything you buy from this t-shirt store, you can buy like a t-shirt or a sticker or whatever. Part of that, like obviously they take to ship and make the t-shirt, and then the other profit goes to the women's bobsled team. So if you wanted to
Sweet.
purchase any merchandise or get a cool sticker, a Team USA bobsled sticker that's your artist made, you can purchase it there.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
What other businesses do you have that people can kind of help you out with?
Um, I sell paintings of people's dogs and I design tattoos for people. So I don't do the tattooing. I just help people come up with a concept and then draw their tattoo for them so they could take to the tattoo artist and do. And then I'm a Google contractor. So if you have a small business and want help with your SEO basically on Google, I do that, but I could help with like a little bit of Facebook as well. Yeah, and then I studied forensic science. So if somebody needs help solving a crime, I got you.
Yeah.
Call me up, swipe some fingerprints.
Yeah. You'll have to let me know if anybody hits you up for that one. That'd be sweet. Our podcast solved a crime.
Yeah, literally.
So, well, thanks a ton for coming on, Macy. Definitely wish you the best of luck here. Excited to kind of see your future.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. And yeah, I mean, this is just as much as my successes as yours as a coach too, just like helping me get there. And from like literally day one when I came as a swimmer and no like official weightlifting and power stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of this credit goes to you, sir. So I appreciate your dedication and just like attention to detail and the emotional support as well as the email. Means a lot.
For sure. Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks a ton. If you guys are still listening here, make sure you give us a follow on blacklisted.hq on Instagram. Make sure you guys give Macy a follow. And if you guys are looking for any artistic specialists or to solve some crimes, hit her up. So thanks again, Macy.
You're welcome. See you guys.
We'll see you.